This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin, we have some breaking news.
We do?
We do. The Cowboys have fired Scott Linehan, their offensive coordinator.
John, I saw a
and
fist
play
pump back
caller.
there.
He fist pumped?
Well, John,
I feel bad for him and all that crap, but that's good news.
Well, Linehan's a very well-traveled college and pro coordinator. He's been around forever, but the feeling is I'm always suspicious of this. If you're a 20-year coordinator and you're not getting head coaching offers, what does that tell me? I mean, Cliff Kingsbury's in the Big 12 for an hour, losing record, got an NFL job. Why isn't he even interviewing for head coaching jobs? He's been around football for 30 years. That tells you people don't see him as a dynamic play caller.
Well, they have regressed tremendously on the offensive side. They finished 22nd in total offense and scoring offense this year, and they averaged 21.2
That's
points
with
per game.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, tally of 339 points this season was their second lowest in 13 years.
Wow, it was?
And
wow,
the lowest was 2015 when Tony Romo missed most of the season with collarbone injury.
So with Amari Cooper, but above average O-line, Zeke, Dak was 13-3 his rookie year, so he can win games. I mean, they need a tight end, but they also have a great defensive front seven, so that gives you the ball back generally in better than average field goal position.
It's not creative.
It's just not.
Hand the ball to Zeke, which anybody can call, and it's Amari Cooper's just good at getting open.
By the way, the two people, Linehan just got fired, and Mike McCarthy couldn't get job interviews. Those are seen as competent guys who have not evolved. This goes back to something, Joy, we talk about. In any business, you've got to evolve. Now, Linehan was a coach for the Rams, but he got run out very fast. And that was over a decade ago. Has he ever been up for a job since? You would just think. I mean, he was a disaster with the Rams. He was 11-25. Yeah.
Well, his days are up in Dallas. All right, so someone else who may be leaving Dallas, or at least talked about leaving Dallas, is Sean Lee. The Cowboys lost to the Rams in the divisional round of the playoffs. Obviously, he's 32 years old. He said he's going to take some time off to figure out whether he's going to continue his pro football career. Well, Stephen Jones, executive vice president, was on the radio Friday to say that Sean Lee will always have a home in Dallas and should continue his career.
No one we'd love to have back more than Sean Lee. I mean, what a special player he is, and being the wily veteran he is, he probably played the best in that game. He had about 24 plays. I would say he played better, probably played the position better than anybody in that particular game. We want him back. I think he's a leader on this football team.
I do think that Sean Lee is a leader. I think his body has mostly betrayed him.
Yes.
He played in 7 games this year. And at a $10 million cap hit, if they cut him, they'll only have $3 million in dead money, and it'll free up $7 million in base salary money for them. And they have Van Der Esch, and they have Jalen Smith. I do think he is an important part of the piece as far as being a veteran and being a leader, but I mean,
it's a salary cap leak. He's too much of a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
not for somebody who's not available.
I mean, again, I would love to have him. I mean, if I was a rebuilding team and I'm like, can I get a grown up in the room? He's a great play. I wouldn't be surprised, frankly, if like New England came in and said, we'll take Sean Lee for 8 games next year and rested him September, October. Like, he's a classic Patriot. Remember they did that with the late Junior Seau. They brought him in and they're like, we'll have you in big spots.
If his body is in the shape it needs to be to make that happen. All right, so finally, the Saints backup quarterback Taysom Hill is a very interesting player, probably the most interesting backup in the game besides Nick Foles, obviously. But playing behind Drew Brees, he isn't going to get much time throwing the ball, but he is getting a lot of time as a rusher and a punt returner. Very interesting player they have there. And Sean Payton raved about him yesterday to reporters, and he had a pretty interesting comparison for the do-it-all rookie.
Last week, he threw a ball to Kamara that was, perfect. What else can he do? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't a guy that couldn't play a safety. He's extremely athletic. He runs fast, but a little bit like Fred Flintstone. His arms don't bend.
I feel like that's how babies run. They just move their feet real fast. It was cool to see him out there, though. I do think he's going to be a bit of an X factor in this game because they can do some creative things with him.
You know what I think? You know what he is? I think, John, you've heard me say this. He's what I thought Tebow would be in the NFL, is that you keep him on a roster. He's a backup quarterback. You have a couple of, he's never going to be a franchise guy.
Right.
You put him on special teams. This is what I thought Tim Tebow could be. Now, I would have never drafted Tim Tebow in the first round, but I always said Tebow's work ethic in a locker room His leadership skills, I would always have Tebow in my locker room. This is what I think he should be.
Yeah, if you can use him in a creative way, if he's not being a backup and attracting all this attention to the backup position and putting pressure on your starting quarterback.
Listen, the Patriots have made a living, Joy, off situational players. I mean, Matt Slater has been on that team forever. You know, he played at UCLA 15 years ago, special teams guy. They got one rugby player on the team. By the way, Belichick pays his kicker, Stephen Gostkowski, like he's the 7th highest paid player on the team. Like, Belichick's a big believer in these situational guys.
Well, because that's usually what it comes down to.
Yes, situational
one
football.
Play. Yeah. That's news.
Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
It is interesting this week when you think of, we know Mahomes is going to be the MVP and Brady's a legend. And we know, Breeze is a legend. And it's funny because we've marginalized Jared Goff as just a guy. Just a guy. But, it's funny. When it comes to quarterbacks, I look at traits, DNA, work ethic. I'm more into qualities and traits than I am your stats. If I was to say to you, of all these young quarterbacks, Jared Goff will end up being the most decorated, you'd be like, well, what about Mahomes? And what about Baker? And what about... To me, Jared Goff has the most Brady-like qualities. I think we're potentially looking at a Tom Brady. He's a California kid like Brady, 6'4.5" like Brady, truly a pocket passer like Brady, very limited mobility, making him a pocket passer like Brady. He has a revered, quote, genius as a head coach early in his career to latch onto, like Tom Brady. Very coachable, grinder in the offseason, never makes headlines, incredibly low-key personality, and a precision thrower. And I always said when he broke into this league, I said he's somewhere between Brady and Matt Ryan. He has a better arm talent than Matt Ryan, better deep ball thrower than Matt, and he looks like Brady. And it's funny because Mahomes is flashy, and Baker's got a big personality, and Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz are the great athletes, and Lamar Jackson is, getting to the playoffs. Goff is being kind of reduced to just a guy this weekend. He's 13-3 on the road the last 2 years, and much like Brady, that we say, well, it's Belichick, it's the division. Goff, of all these young quarterbacks, shares the most similarities to Tom Brady. Size, arm, style, personality, work ethic. And what has made Brady, to a large degree, is hooking onto a genius early. Who's the young coaching genius? Sean McVay. I think Goff's going to have, and I understand why Lamar and Mahomes and Baker and Wentz and Deshaun, I understand why they're getting the headlines. Much greater highlight players. To me, when I look at Goff, I see a younger Brady. That's what I see. And maybe Brady got to a Super Bowl early. Maybe this changes sort of the narrative on Jared Goff. And by the way, Greg Cosell was on yesterday, and he likes Goff too.
I think Goff is very much a programmed player. I think that when their offense works functionally and effectively in all its dimensions, and he drops back and is relatively secure in the pocket, that he throws a beautiful ball. He's an easy thrower. He's a comfortable thrower. He has a good arm. For the most part, he's an accurate thrower. He lost some of his accuracy down the stretch. But when he's a comfortable player within the context of a multi-dimensional offense, he's very pretty to watch. The ball comes out really well.
That's basically talking about Tom Brady. When Tom Brady is comfortable within the structure of New England's offense, Tom Brady is beautiful to watch. When Tom Brady's not comfortable and Tom Brady's getting pressure, he can be very erratic. And Tom Brady's not as much fun to watch. He is Brady and Goff. They have very smart head coaches. When they're comfortable in the pocket, they are beautiful throwers of the football. Cosell just described Brady. And don't forget, Brady in his first couple of years in this league, don't forget this, had a great defense. Goff has a great running game. They relied on great coaching and a great element beyond themselves. Coming up next, Dontrell Inman, wide receiver. Boy, did the Colts find a good one. He was in that game last week against Kansas City. Things went sideways for the Colts. What do you face when you face the Chiefs? He was in Arrowhead. We'll bring him on next in studio. Stolen identity. A stolen identity can be a real nightmare. Here are some smart steps to take for protection. Always shred bank statements, bills, any document that contains your or your family's personal information. Keep important documents like birth certificates and Social Security cards in a home safe. Use different strong passwords for your online accounts, and be sure to use a strong passcode on your smartphone. So many ways that cyber criminals can try to take what's yours. That's the good thing LifeLock Identity Theft Protection has added the power of Norton Security. Now, they can't prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock with Norton Security can see threats you'd miss on your own. And they make it easy to purchase it. Just go to LifeLock.com, put in the code HERD, 10% off. LifeLock.com, code HERD, 10% off. Or call 1-800-LifeLock, 1-800-LifeLock. Again, use the promo code HERD, and again, 10% off. Promo code HERD. LifeLock with Norton Security.